because, like in 2008, I hope that's the correct.
That is.
Okay, because I said I know this date, but now that she's telling me I was 25, it's 30. You made a volunteer trip that I would say changed the direction of your life, I'm sure beyond anything you could have imagined initially. And what sparked in you on that trip? You know, I mean, and then this will become the big reveal, fresh and green. Reveal. But no,
well, you know, again, I've done tons of volunteer work in the U.S., and I'd had a desire to travel outside of the U.S. and do some volunteer work because of my job and seeing, you know, what the rest of the world looks like and where help is needed. And it was just something I'd thrown around in my head. And I found a flyer when I went to check in for work one day that said, you know, help the school in Ethiopia. And I contacted the flight attendant who was helping out the school at the time. And it took me about a year to coordinate my schedule to go on this trip with her. So when I finally was able to go on the trip, she had actually had an opportunity to help somewhere else. So she was leaving the school, and the school needed support. The school started as a for-profit.
Wonderful woman, Mudai. Yeah, gorgeous, beautiful. Yes. And it was like, what's interesting to me is it was for-profit, but she kept bringing in not-for-profit people, and the people who had kids there sort of rejected the...
Yes, she started bringing the kids in off the streets who were begging for food. And talk about family and soulmates. Mudai is my family. She's my soulmate. She's the most amazing woman I've ever met. Her heart is huge, which is why she was bringing in all these kids off the streets and feeding them, making clothes
sure they're
for
clean.
Them. Healthcare, education. But she couldn't do it on her own. And the tuition-paying kids started to leave the school. Their parents pulled them out, and then just, you know, some attrition. So it became a school completely for needy kids. And the other flight attendant found the school through a classmate of hers at Columbia, an Ethiopian guy who grew up with Mudai. And so she supported the school for 2 years. So in 2008, when I finally went on the trip, I fell in love with the school and Mudai and the kids and the country. And we also support the mothers. And I remember the first day that we went to visit one of the homes of the kids and, you know, the mothers, the families, I was so, I don't even know how to put it into words, but we came back after that visit, and the house was tiny, no running water, no electricity, no windows, just 4 walls and a mattress. And they were so generous. They had a little fire stove where they make coffee and tea.
Did they make you some teff and all that?
They're like, you know, would you like some tea? And you know, it's like, gosh, you have nothing, and you're still trying to give.
And they're always smiling and joyful.
Oh yeah, they're so amazing. So when we got back from that trip, and I went back to the guest house we were staying in, and the other volunteers that were with me went off to dinner, I said, go ahead, I'm just going to stay. And I sat in the room and I cried like the whole night, just feeling guilty because of what I have and feeling helpless because I felt like there was nothing I can do. And this was actually before I found out that the other organization was moving on. So it just kind of manifested itself, and it fell into my lap, and it was what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like I found my purpose.
Right. And every year has been a grade added.
Yes.
And the school expanded, and now we're going to talk more about what's going on with the school, because there's, you know, some changes going on and things where we could use some